Looking for that preview. Let's move this over so I can see it. Or so I can, there we go. A little bit more, see if we can get that infinite loop going. Is that too, maybe it's too close. All right, we're muting. No, mute it. Hide video preview. Notes up. Chat mode. Test it. We're testing it. Beautiful. Bring this little guy. Actually, you know what I want to do is bring this over here. You know what we're going to do? We're going to play a little background music before we get going. I'm not doing much anyway. Make that big. Nope. There we go. Okay, that's enough of all that. Still got a few minutes. Oh man, don't hit that mic, Mike. Don't hit the mic, Mike. It's an awful sound. Just an awful, awful sound. I learned last week that I don't need to be right up on the mic like this. I don't know if it's smooth jazz. Anyway, I was too close to the mic, I think, and that gave me some low ends I really didn't want. I think maybe this is far enough here. Pretty sure it is. Anyway, a couple minutes to go. This has got to be like the worst part, right? Because you're just waiting. But I got everything going to make sure everything was right. See, thankfully I did that because I had to go into my personal stream earlier. That's not what I want. Not what I want at all. This doesn't tell me. Oh, you know what I could do? See, I don't think Twitch is sending this out. I don't think it's sending it out to my followers like I'd like. So we're gonna see. I still got. Okay, I'm last minute. We're just gonna send it to my own or the oh no. It said see, there goes again. Live now or love now. Love now. Love now for episode 2. All right, so we're gonna do a little silence. Good Sunday evening. Oh, it's a little loud. Good Sunday evening, my gaming brothers and sisters. Hey, it's welcome to Grown Up Gaming episode 2. It is Sunday, October 23rd, 2016, live in Tampa, Florida. This It's a beautiful day here today. I woke up this morning and it was 57 degrees. 57. Man, for us, that's freezing. I've seen the pictures on Twitter for you Northerners, you Canadians, some folks over in Northern Europe that all bundled up. Over here, 57 degrees, that's bundle up. And I did get up to 80 today, so it was kind of nice. I really hope that everybody had just as beautiful of a day as I did. Man, it was great, fantastic. Got a lot of adulting done. Did some gaming this morning. Mowed the grass. Did all that dad and husband things this afternoon. Got all that done. I was going to get a little shopping done, but I didn't. But so what's been going on this week? This is week 2, so I've been trying to get some things going, make the stream look a little better. The website, I'm trying to work on that a little bit, but I haven't had. I mean, I've had time. Sure, you have time for the things you make time for, right? That's what they say. But I decided to look more at what can I do with the stream instead of what can I do with the website. We'll get that going. May have a new co-host soon. That's kind of cool. One of my guildies is interested. He's done podcasts in the past, and of course, we're going to talk at some point this week and figure out if that's going to be a good fit or not. So maybe we'll have some more news on that next week. More news on that upcoming. What else is new? iTunes and Stitcher has all been linked up, so people can go listen. Facebook.com/ProGG is up. No content on it yet. I think I made a YouTube channel about an hour and a half ago. I'm not quite sure. We're going to find that out, and I'm going to try to get these casts pushed over from Twitch over onto YouTube to see if that works. I got some feedback from last week that I want to go over this week. Some of the things I talked about. I got some reactions, and I was happy for that. I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but I got a few things, and I want to talk about them in a little while. We'll go over those and some other good stuff here. So what else in game? Not as much Legion as I have since launch. I mean, let's be honest. I think a lot of people can agree with me. There's a little bit of burnout going on, maybe just a little bit of adulting. But you log in. I've got everything to revered. I mean, I could work on some of the reputations and get those up to exalted, but I've got night falling all the way through. I know I'm going to need that for whatever's coming up to lead us to Nightmare Hold. I'm not really all that motivated to get the other ones done. It's not that I'm bored with it. It's just that, oh my God, how many times can we kill the same 12 things on a daily basis in a world quest? And yeah, there's some rewards out there that are pretty nice. The artifact power, I think now it's like 180 something thousand that I need to get, so it's a little bit ridiculous. But it is what it is. Keep plugging away, and I'm sure we'll get it done. Got to raid this week. I raid Mondays and Wednesdays, or if you're looking at it from a raid week perspective, that's Wednesday and Monday. We cruised through the first 5 bosses relatively easily. Well, relatively, I say. We had a little bit of trouble on Spider-Bird, whatever that lady's name is, Ellerith Renperil, I believe it is. That one gave us a little bit of trouble, but overcame it no problem a couple nights. Cenarius, that's our bottleneck right now, man. We get that dude down to 50% or so, and whatever combination we got going on, it just stops us dead in our tracks. And we had some frustration going on in the raid. We had, folks. Some people may not be getting their gear where they should be, not in terms of high level or whatever, but enchants, even the cheap ones. I mean, don't even look. It's one of those things where, man, I'm busy. I've got time to make sure that I have the things I need to enchant my rings, enchant my cloak. If I don't want to put the 37,000 gold neck enchant on, sure, that's fine. I get it. I don't expect anybody else to do it either. But damn, put some of that other shit on there and come in the raid group and help us out. So that way we can get the guy down from 50% all the way to the rest of it. So yeah, that's my week in the game. Pretty good times. Also, looking forward to Tuesday. What's coming up on Tuesday? Patch 7.1. I know there's a lot of stuff out there. I'm not necessarily a news channel. But one good thing that we discovered this week, there was a couple of us. I was on really late at night on Wednesday night because I had Thursday off. So it was probably 1 in the morning. And somebody put in guild chat, hey, who wants to come along for this secret Nomergan boss? I'm like, what the shit? Nomergan boss? I thought maybe it was some kind of queued thing, some kind of not the Headless Horseman, but something similar to that. So I said, sure, I'll come. And sure shit, man. You go in there and you just one shot everything. You blast through the whole thing. And you get to the end. There's this little bitty red button that you push. And then here comes this guy, 207 million HP, which, maybe is not all that ridiculous in today's game. But when you start that fight, these bombs come out everywhere. They one shot you. Anything it touches. I mean, I stood a little bit of a chance when I went into bear form and put up some CDs, but that didn't last but a few seconds. So we couldn't figure it out. Looked around on the internet. Nobody, as of 2 days ago, really had any kind of strat out there to how it worked. And I think it's because it's listed. If you look on the Wowhead post about it, it's listed as a 7.1 feature. It's not listed as something that's in there right now. It's listed as a 7.1 feature. I tweeted at the Warcraft devs, no response. Surprise, surprise. I saw some other posts out there that people were cheesing it a little bit. They found some bugs that they were working with, and then somebody came back later and said, nope, it was hot fixed a couple hours later. So somebody out there is watching it, and they're seeing what people are doing on it. They're just not making it really accessible, I think, to everybody. And I think that's okay. I mean, that way you can say if you're one of the first people who figures it out, not the people who just get in there and push some shit and say, well, we have no idea how we did it. We just did it. That kind of sucks. But if you're one of the ones who can get in there and say, no, this is exactly how it's done, you're going to be like a great instrument, a tool for everybody else. And then the rest of us are just going to be tools, right? Some of the things out there with 7.1, looking at the direction of the game, Karazhan, everybody's huge on Karazhan right now. I think they always have. If you recall from what I said before, I did not raid back in Burning Crusade, so there's no nostalgia there for me. But I started thinking about this a lot in the last couple of weeks, when I'm listening to different things and reading different sites about the news. And I'm wondering, well, let me preface this. I actually had this as a later point, but I want to bring it up first. So I had this idea I'm going to talk about in a second. I had this thought about the direction of the game, where it's going, and I thought, I'm crazy. I've got whatever. I'm just making something up here. It's not really founded. I don't know enough about the game to think that maybe this is even feasible. Sure as shit, man. I'm listening to another podcast out there, and they laid out exactly what I've been thinking the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, well, I guess it's not just me. Then everybody's thinking the same thing. So my question is, are we seeing the end of WoW? Is Legion it? And this is not doom and gloom. I'm not that guy. I hate when everybody's like, oh, subs are down, blah, blah. I just think they have something else going on. So another cast, so the group out there said, maybe they're looking at a different engine, or maybe we're moving to a different world. And all this stuff I considered the last couple of weeks, but let's think about it, right? So far in Legion, we've seen Blizzard really playing on this nostalgia trip. We look at Ulduar. We were in Ulduar doing shit before the expansion came out. We're in Karazhan before. We're going into Karazhan. Illidan, really playing on the story of Illidan, kind of changing up our perception. Hell, the Legion itself. I mean, the Burning Crusade was always regarded as one of the best things since WoW came out, and now we're back doing the Legion thing because that was a big nostalgia. Draenor, I know WoD was. Most people would agree that it was a disaster. I actually enjoyed it because I had time to go back and do some shit that I didn't have time for before. So all these things are playing on the nostalgia piece, all the things that players love and hold near and dear to their heart. Look at the other side of it. All the dead things. Vol'jin at the beginning, right? Varian, Ysera. And if these are spoilers, I don't feel bad for you. It's been 3 fucking months. So you've had time to get this far into the story, right? Cenarius is corrupted. We're trying to kill him. So all these dead things, all these key lore players. One item that I didn't think of that the other people did put out there was you look at whatever his name is over in the purple Draenei stuff, that crystal guy. What's his name? Anyway, there's a thing around level 103, 104, or whenever you get to it, where he's like, I just had this vision, killed my son, we're out. So you look at that, you look at all the things I mentioned about the dead bosses, the nostalgia, and then the simple fact that how many more lands on Azeroth can we possibly discover that we haven't seen before? It's just all these new little islands just pop up out of nowhere. We're probably going to be on a different world. Where that's going to be, I don't know. But anyway, that plus in the real world, Tom Chilton moving off of World of Warcraft. He's been the heart and soul of the game for so long. It's just impossible to think that he's done. I don't think that the game's going to go anywhere in terms of the IP being dismantled. I just think we're in for some different things, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking to see what they have coming out. I may not even be playing by the end of Legion. I usually take a break around the end of expansion as a lull gets there, but anyway, we'll see. So what else we got going on? Bliss Con. BlizzCon's in a week and a half, so I'm flying out on Thursday, meeting up with the guildies. I'm really excited about that. This will be my third one. Get to see a lot of the community members out there. For the community members, I know everybody kind of meets each other from different, what's the word I'm looking for, mediums. You've got the WoW head folks, you've got MMO champion folks, but I love the Twitter community. That's probably my favorite community, and I get to see a lot of you folks out there. I'm really looking forward to it. But as it relates to what I do on this cast, it's like grown up, right? So I always have these grand ideas that I'm going to get plenty of rest before I go, and I'm going to get there, and I'm going to party it up, and I'm going to hang out in the Hilton lobby like everybody does. I'm just going to drink till 2 or 3, 4, whatever, stay up all night, get up early. And nope, that's never what happens. I'm worn out because I'm just walking everywhere, just worn out in bed, usually 11:30, getting up early in the morning for the next round. And the good news is about that, I'm generally refreshed the next day. So we'll see what happens there. Um, but it's usually some of the same old stuff. I'm not looking forward to the food there. For those who don't know or don't keep up with me on Twitter, I've been on a diet for it'll be 9 months on Tuesday. Tuesday the 25th. Yeah, I started January 25th. I've lost 88, 89 pounds. My goal is to lose 90 pounds. So I've been doing a diet that's fairly restricted. So I'm not sure what I'm going to eat while I'm there. But fortunately, or during the day at least, because they have all these nasty gut trucks that are sitting out front that hopefully I can find something that can kind of cater to what I eat. Otherwise, I'm going off campus, going to eat there. But we do have one guildie, one of our officers. She always finds some great things to eat. But anyway, so if you want to not hook up, but if you want to get together while we're out there, if you're going to BlizzCon, try to find me. I'm at Kohimulon on Twitter. I'll be happy to say hi. So here we are. This is the topic of the week. We've been talking for about 15 minutes now. Haven't gotten on to where we want to go. It's almost just like a ramble. Let me grab a drink of my tea. All right. Thanks for staying with me there. So the topic today, this week, is stigmas. And I got some feedback related to stigmas later on after we get through the topic. The stigma of being a gamer while being a professional or being a student or being an adult. And this is something that I face, and I probably have this in my notes somewhere down below here, and I'm just not giving myself enough patience to actually get to it. But I think one of the biggest stigmas that a lot of people face are video games are childish. You hear that before. So we're adults, and you mentioned you play video games, then you're an outcast. You don't belong in the adult community, or you should put that down, or you should go do something outside, or feed your kids, or some other bullshit like that. Right? So how many of you heard this before? And yes, I did play video games as a kid. Most of you did. I loved it. But see, even then, I also went fishing. I also rode bicycles. I also ate food. And guess what? I'm still doing all those things today. So I started looking on the internet, and if it's on the internet, it's true, right? Everybody knows that. But so I found some articles out there, or some questions even that people had asked anonymously or whatnot. The first one comes from Quora. I had no idea how to say it. Quora.com. I'm going to read it relatively verbatim. I grew up playing video games from the Atari 2600 to the Commodore 64 to the original Nintendo NES. I remember feeling a certain amount of "this is childish" embarrassment when people would ask me what I enjoyed doing in my spare time, and I would think to answer, play video games. But today, virtually all of my adult friends have game consoles and enjoy playing, some to even greater lengths than myself, parentheses, World of Warcraft, Skyrim, Call of Duty 4, and so on. My question is, can I, as an adult, confidently answer I like playing video games to someone who asks how I like to spend my free time? Or does it simply imply, or does it still imply that I'm a loser with no life? Man, what a loaded question. Because, and in my answer to that, if you ask me what, I guess this is about what I'm doing here. But if somebody asked me that, I would say, hell no, I'm not telling somebody, and I don't today. But the real answer is it depends. I think. I mean, um, pardon my generalization, but I do think there are some industries or some circles where this is going to be more acceptable than others, right? I'm not going to try to be even more generalizing and state some of the circles that I think that would be more acceptable, but you know, there's a lot of folks that are going to say, "Well, just be who you are," and I don't really think it's that simple. I'm going to use myself as a reference, right? So, like I mentioned before last week, I grew up in the country, so um, I was in the Marines. I still like outdoorsy things today. I go fishing on a kayak, right? The games I grew up playing, even as a young adult, are games that I think more widely a social or widely socially acceptable. Man, that's a tongue twister, right? But the truth is, I work in sales, and as a leader, a sales leader, it's not really one of those industries where everybody's talking about what they did in Emerald Nightmare last night, right? Instead, they're talking about football or whatever other sport they're watching. I'm a big football fan too, by the way. Um, and so, and maybe I'm a little naive there. So, or maybe I was naive because here's a litmus test that I can share that actually happened in my real life. So when I first started playing WoW, not the first time in BC, but when I first got into it, I didn't think too much about it. Just a video game, right? All my friends play video games. I play video games. So I happened to post about it on Facebook. I'm like, man, I never played WoW before. Now here I am, blah, blah, blah. You should have seen the amount of negative feedback that I got from people who are my friends, right? I mean, I got ripped apart. People are commenting, oh, people commit suicide over the game, or you're going to become a neglectful parent, or whatever it was. They tried to make me feel so bad about it that in my head, I'm like, look, there's no way I'm ever going to talk about this again, at least in this format. So, um, but here's another kicker about that, and I may have mentioned this before. People find out today that I do play games. I may let something slip, but when they ask, I will default to saying something like Overwatch, right, or Madden, or Call of Duty, which I haven't really played in a long time, and those are fine. It's interesting that people take this stance where some games are socially acceptable and some games are just way over the top. And I kind of hinted to that last week, which is where I got to the topic this week. Um, and it's fine. I just hide who I am a little bit from a lot of people, and I'm not saying anything about myself or sharing my experience for any kind of e-hugs or anything like that. I don't need that shit. I'm just saying what it is and how it impacts me. And I think it's easier to speak from experience when I'm talking about these kind of things, right? So, um, what I often say, even if internally, is my gaming friends know more about me than anybody else because the people that I hang out with, outside of game, really, here locally, they have no idea about this side of me that I invest hours into a week. Doesn't make me a bad person, doesn't make me a neglectful parent. It just is, it's part of who I am. But now my gaming friends, those of you on Twitter who follow me out there, you guys know that I fish because I post pictures about it, right? I bitch about football games on Twitter to the football teams. These are out there. So you guys know more about me than anybody else. I love it. I wish I could be that open. Tried it once, failed miserably. Got ripped apart. Won't do it again. Give me a sec. I may edit that out. I'm taking a drink of tea because my throat's all raspy. Now, on a more positive note, I did find another article. That first question was back from like 2010, 11, 12. It was a few years old, so maybe that's been around the block. Maybe things have evolved. And the next article I found was actually just from last year. There's puberty coming back to me at 40 years old. Anyway, on a more positive note, article from last year on destructoid.com. I'll have the links to both of these in the show notes if you want to take a look at the responses. I'm going to read some of the quote here. It says, I think this bodes well for very young folks. Today's younger generation is doing a lot of good things with not only acceptance, but embracing different ideas than my generation and before ever did. Um, oh my goodness, I think those are my notes. I'm sorry, I messed that up. So yeah, today's generation is doing a lot better. I think, I grew up, like I said, in the country in East Tennessee, and there were a lot of things, even socially outside of game, that were and are not okay with the people indigenous to that area. And I grew up that way myself, and I had to grow out of that and learn and change the way I view different things. So I think now, gamers, it's hard to find a gamer in the millennial generation, or hard to find a person who's not a gamer, who doesn't play some sort of video games. They can talk about that thing openly, but if I take my daughter to softball practice or to her softball games, or if I take her to work or whatever, and I'm talking to one of the softball dads, and he's going on about batting practice and all kinds of other stuff, and I say, yeah, man, I took my daughter to batting practice on Sunday, and then after that, I had to jump on for raid. I mean, I'd get looked at like I had six eyes, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. You have a what? And then I'd have to explain it. And then it sounds silly. And you're back to the first part where you're all feeling childish. So I think today's generation, there's a lot of things I don't like. I think my dad's generation didn't like a lot of things we do. But one of the things they have right, one of the things we can learn from these millennials is acceptance, just in general, embracing different ideas. Something that might not have been normal to you is going to be normal to them. And that's good. So, um, anyway, but let's be real. There are some gamers out there who do fit the mold to talk to people in our society has created. So this is the problem. And it's not going to be pleasant to hear. So we had a saying, and it's, again, I know this isn't very popular, but we had a saying where there cliches exist because there are enough people out there to make them happen, make them true, right? And that's unfortunate. I don't like being a redneck, being called a redneck from East Tennessee, but I know that there are enough rednecks in East Tennessee to make that cliche fit, to make it work. So it's hard sometimes even being from there. So when folks are talking shit about gamers, guess what? The things that they have out there, there's enough gamers out there that are giving us a bad rap. Knock it off. Quit being the bad apple. Be the good guy. Help me out here. I'm just trying to come out. Open world. Anyway, think about it objectively. If you can, I embrace everybody personally for who they are and just peers in the hobby. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Please reach out. It's questions@growngg.com. Sorry about stumbling over my thoughts there, but still new. Thanks for staying with me. Questions@growngg.com. Let me know what you think about it. Right, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So feedback. We got feedback from a couple folks out there on some different things. Last week I talked for a couple minutes about how raiding is the ultimate experience, and there's no way you should ever get higher gear in 5-man content. And she said to me, I disagree with your raid is greater than 5-man view. After surviving a +8 Halls of Valor and Darkheart Thicket this week, as well as clearing Heroic Emerald Nightmare, there's no doubt in my mind that the Mythic Plus venue will ultimately draw far more hardcore elitists. These are people who are maybe time pressed to fully raid and or cannot find guilds with high enough eye level, or that do not have to contend with ensuring at least twice as many people are up to their standard, quote, of play and want to do obscene things with their bodies like run a greater than 10 plus. Given the terrible drop rates, two-piece drop rates of M plus, Mythic plus chest, sorry about that, I'm fine with my Mythic Plus gear being better than normal or heroic, but not Mythic raid tier, which is how I think it currently is, maybe, she says. Some good thought-provoking things there. So, one piece of it, I look at the time plus. These people who are maybe not, I'm sorry, these are people who are maybe time pressed to fully raid and cannot find guilds with high enough eye level. Time pressed, yeah, okay. Let's think about that for a second. That's one of the big problems that grown-up gamers have is this time. And I'm going to dedicate a whole episode to time management and whatnot as a gamer. But so if you're doing enough Mythic Plus content, 8 and over, whatever, to where you're decked out in Mythic Plus gear, you've probably got time to raid. That's the way I look at it, because you're not going through these Mythic plus 8s and 10 pluses or whatnot with just a bunch of Joe Schmoes that you found on the forum somewhere. Most likely, you're probably going to go with people that you at least half-ass know and half-ass trust. He's a half-ass all around. You're probably doing this stuff as organized. I see it in my guild all the time. There are 4 or 5 people that run together pretty consistently. There's probably 6 or 7 actually, and they out of those 6 or 7, they generally pool 5 of that pooling together to do mythic pluses. But it's pretty much organized, and they're spending the same amount of hours doing that as I am, or the rest of the raid is doing for the heroic raids. Now we haven't cleared it, but it's still the same amount of time, and that's a problem. That's where I think it's you can't use the time thing. Now I like what she said. It's tough. It's hard content. You should be rewarded with the highest possible. And I think she even came back later this week and said, "Hey, this stuff is capped at this high level." So it does seem to be how she said at the end. I'm fine with Mythic Plus gear being normal heroic, but not Mythic raid tier, which is how I think it currently is. And maybe I'll concede a little bit instead of saying, hey, the highest you can get is 850. Maybe I would jump up to 865, and I think that could be where it is. So if that's the case, if that is how it is, then I'm good with it. I'll retract what I said. Well, I won't retract what I said, but I'll kind of get on board. But I had it in my mind that you could deck yourself out in 895 gear or 890 gear from Mythic Pluses, and I just don't think that's right. So that's that on the feedback for that. And then I put a tweet out last week about I was on Twitter and something came through for the Cub Scouts of America. And what did it say? Oh, it had a picture of some kids outside, and it said, "Say goodbye to video games and hello to the great outdoors." And what I posted was, hey, this is perpetuating the stigma. And so I want to talk about how I feel about that for a second. And there we go, right? So that's clearly somebody in our age group, I think, putting it out there that it's either video games or the outdoors. One or the other. You can't do both. Can't possibly do both according to this tweet. Say goodbye to video games because I'm going outside. Not see you later. Goodbye. I'm putting these down forever. I'm never going to touch them again. That's not right. So the stigma is these kids cannot possibly play outside if they're playing video games, and I don't think that's right. I think you can do both. I'm living proof that you can do both. I'm busy. I got a pretty demanding job. I go fishing. I love fishing. I take my kids to their sports things and hang out with my wife on the couch, and we watch reruns of freaking what's it called? Sheldon Cooper. What the hell's it called? Big Bang Theory. We watch that. We watch football on Saturdays. It's one of our things, and I can still get on and raid 6 hours a week, and I can still level and all those things. So I did get a tweet back from Rimgar. You guys all know him. He says, "What does it perpetuate? In all honesty, I'd rather my kid and I be hiking rather than tapping away on an iPad." Okay, so I like it, right? But again, I think it feeds into the this or that mentality, and I don't think if you're going to look at it that way, I don't think that gives him the opportunity to explore every option that he has available to him. You say, I'd rather have him outside hiking than be on an iPad all the time. So, I mean, that's extreme. I get it. I know he's going to be typing away on the iPad. So is my kid. He's going to be tapping away at something because that's just what they do. But if you take it and just read it how it is, it's like, okay, it's either as soon as I get home from school, I'm doing nothing but hiking for 12 hours or 6 hours or whatever it is. I think your kid can do both. Hiking, get out there, explore, look at the wilderness, whatever they got to do. And then when he gets done, get back. Somebody else, I forgot to take their name. Sorry about that, bro. Said, hey, my brothers and I had a rule when I was growing up where if it was daylight, we're outside. If it's dark, it's video games. And that's a good rule. I mean, what happens when it's summer and it doesn't get dark till 9:30? Some places like here, Florida, it doesn't get dark till 9:30. So you're up pretty late playing outside. So that's the feedback that I have. Again, let me get back to. I'm gonna figure out a better way to do these. There we go. We're gonna talk over this music again. As long as I can hear myself over it, I think we're fine. So that's the show this week. Love it. Got to talk a little bit longer. I think last week we only made it about 20 minutes. This week made a little over 30. I'd love to hear from you. I want to get this thing going, moving off the ground a little bit more. I don't mind sitting around talking to myself a little bit. Well, I don't mind it much. I don't mind it now because it's new, but I really would like to get this out to where I get some feedback. So give me the questions. Questions at growngg.com. Visit the website. Check me out on Twitter at growngg. Love to see you there. We'll have links for everything there. We're on we're on Stitcher and iTunes, like I mentioned before. So that's a wrap. 8 o'clock at night. Not too bad. See ya.